So the Chicago Bears just added two weapons to this team, and I think they're both really solid moves, and it couldn't come at a better time. We need some reinforcements. So the Bears brought back a familiar face to Hallis Hall, and you guys know the Bears have a need at the safety position. Starter Jaquan Brisker, he just got put on injured reserve, remains in the concussion protocol still. Backup Elijah Hicks, he's dealing with an ankle injury. And Chicago even worked out safety Terrell Edmonds. He's linebacker Tremaine Edmonds' brother on Tuesday. So the Bears made a decision. They just signed Adrian Colbert to help fill that void left by stud safety Jaquan Brisker as he recovers on injured reserve. And if you remember from the offseason, especially Hard Knocks, Colbert really showed out in the preseason. And for one, I was surprised he didn't make the roster. It was so close, and I'm really glad to have him back. A good depth signing for sure. And in a corresponding move, and personally, I really like this. Preseason Hall of Fame game star Colin Johnson, he was brought up from the practice squad, and he's now on the 53-man roster. Just a nice big target, adding quality depth to this wide receiver room. And I'm going to talk about him in just a bit if you wait just a moment. But let's get to Colbert. Colbert should still have banked knowledge of how head coach Matt Eberflus's defensive system operates. He's spent portions of the past 2 seasons with the team, an active roster member, and on the practice squad. And the guy's got the experience that can really bolster this safety room. 8-year NFL veteran. He's had just 41 career games on his record, though, but this is just a good depth signing. I'm going to go to the story on heavy.com. You guys check it out. So speaking about Adrian Colbert, this is his 3rd time with the Bears. If you watch HBO's Hard Knocks this summer, the 31-year-old's battle to make the 53-man roster, it was one of the featured stories. And out of all the teams that he's seen, and this is a list of 9 or 10 other teams, Colbert took the time to say that the Bears were the favorite of all the places that he's ever been. If you think about the story way back on September 4th, when we had more optimism for the season, right? He talked a lot about the day that he almost lost his life. A woman struck him with her car when he was just 9 years old. And he talked about how the experiences helped shape his disposition toward all of life and football. And if you remember, Ryan Poles actually got emotional when he broke the news to him that he wouldn't be making the 53. And it was hard not to root for the guy. But also on the field in the preseason, this guy hits hard. This guy has a nose for the ball. He has a nose for turnovers. And that's something that Coach Eberflus just really covets on his defense. I'm really glad to have him here. We're struggling with injuries in the safety room. And his last regular season work for the Bears, that's back in 2022. He got in on 2 games. So bad news on Brisker, IR. Elijah Hicks is nursing an ankle injury, and this is heading into this matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to turn that down. Okay. So, yeah. So it's too bad, though. Hicks was doing a really good job filling in. I just posted about him last week. Colbert coming back to town was very much needed. Plus, you've got a guy who knows the staff, the system, and his teammates already. Just a great move. And I'll be keeping tabs on whether Hicks will be ready to go for Sunday. So kind of asking the question, what if Hicks can't go Sunday? The Bears have Jonathan Owens. He signed a 2-year contract with the team in March. He's higher up in the pecking order than Colbert, especially in the short-term future. Owens has been with the Bears the entire season, and he's played really well. But, man, depth was needed. And then kind of talking about Brisker. Poles talked on ESPN 1000's Week 11 pregame show. The Bears had kind of reached a point with Brisker when they recognized he just wasn't making progress in the concussion protocol. He wasn't even up to regular football activities. So an IR designation just really made sense. That's a no pressure, another 4 weeks to heal up, to see if he is up for football a little more this year. But polls didn't sound confident that Briscoe would be back in 2024. And this is here straight from polls. We're going to slow this down and take time and allow him to take his time to come back. And this is back on November 17th. We would love to see him back this year, but we're just going to take it 1 week at a time. So looking at one more time, Colbert joining the roster. So if you look at Chicago's safety room now, Kevin Byard, Jonathan Owens, Tarvarius Moore, and he might be up above Colbert in the pecking order, at least for this game, along with Brisker and IR and Hicks nursing that ankle injury. So I'll be keeping you posted throughout the week how Hicks is doing. So let's talk about a player that I really like, Colin Johnson. He's now on the 53-man roster. This is another popular Hard Knocks storyline, right? A camp injury ended up slowing his push to make the 53-man roster. And after that Hall of Fame game, I thought this guy was going to provide quality depth in the wide receiver room for sure. And if you remember last year and this year, but this year he was elevated for a couple of games. He saw 22 total snaps and absolute explosion during the Hall of Fame game. 3 catches for 56 yards, 2 touchdowns. Didn't make much noise after that. He was a victim of final cuts, but he has hung around on the practice squad all this time. 7 games remaining on the regular season slate. A chance of making a positive impression here with the staff. Kind of a little bit on Johnson, his time in the league. He entered the NFL as a 5th-round pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars in the 2020 NFL Draft. Waived by the Jaguars in 21, spent the next 2 years with the New York Giants. And if you remember, especially you guys that play fantasy football, Colin Johnson in camp, he got hurt, but he was looked at as being the number 2 receiver on that team. The coaching staff was really high on him. He was having a great season. He's had some injury bad luck, just really bad luck. And he signed with Chicago in October of just this last year. So, I mean, these are not starters, but these are 2 really quality signings, especially with Hicks nursing that ankle injury. I am really glad to have Colbert back on the team. And you know what? We got to see the talent that we have on this team. I want to see what Colin Johnson has. I want to see him get some playing time, possibly give him some end zone looks. He's just a wide-bodied, sure-handed receiver with really good speed. I would really like to see what he can provide on this team. And you guys, I know it's tough. I know we don't have a lot of things to be optimistic about if you just look at our record, but developing Caleb Williams, that's the only thing that really matters right now. I don't care about the record. And what we saw in Green Bay last week, definitely he took the next step, definitely showing that he's going to be one of those guys. There aren't a lot of guys in the NFL that at the end of the game, last drive of the game, you don't want the defense to play it out. You don't want just to give it to your running back 3 steps in a cloud of dust to try to kill the clock. You want a quarterback on your team that you can give the ball to, and you can't wait to see what he does with it. And he's successful in the 4th quarter and on the final drives of games. And Caleb Williams is continuing to show that he is developing into that guy. And I think we're really blessed to have him on the team. We're going to have some coaching turmoil to end this season, and also in the off season, there's going to be a lot to talk about. You guys, thanks for staying with me. Let me know what you think about these 2 signings, and we are getting closer to Sunday, so bear down and we'll talk soon. See ya.